Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast. This is Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you to the special edition 2025 Year in Review Part 3. Before we dive deeper into the 2025 Year in Review, let's make some announcements. Well, first of all, we have a great pipeline of guests, experts, and professionals, business leaders lined up for 2026. And we'll announce and list the pipeline soon on our website, americanpodcast.tv, very, very soon. Speaking of guest and guest pipeline, if you like to be a guest on the American Business Podcast, you can send us an email. We welcome business professionals, business authors, conferences, anything about business, educational, informative, talk to us, get in touch with us. We support, we promote, and uplift American businesses, nonprofits, and manufacturers. We share educational content in the American Business Podcast. In this view, we welcome these interactions. Feel free to get in touch with us, American Business Podcast at gmail.com. If you'd like to be a guest, if you'd like to have a podcast appearance in the American Business Podcast, it all takes an email, americanbusinesspodcast at gmail.com. Also, we welcome sponsors, advertisers, and supporters. If you like to promote your company, your products, and services in the American Business Podcast, please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast at gmail.com. In 2025, we managed to secure world-class supporters, advertisers, and we are looking forward to having more sponsors and advertisers moving forward. So if you're interested in introducing your products, your company, your services, the American Business Podcast is a great venue, and we love to have a conversation with you. Also, we keep updating our website, americanpodcast.tv. You can learn more about the American Business Podcast. You can see our coming schedule, and also you can see the news and updates about the American Business Podcast. As you know, recently we shared the updates about our 2025 review, what we have done so far, what we have accomplished, and we got a lot of positive feedback from you, and we truly appreciate these. And we just actually released a video to go over the details of what we have done in 2025 and what we have achieved together with you, of course. So these banners, these posters is also available on LinkedIn as well as other social media channels, as well as our website when you go. So you can see our mission clearly for the American Business Podcast, what we have achieved since we started this year on February 28, 2025 till now. So it's been less than a year, and we come a very long way with your help and support. We truly appreciate it. We are very motivated, and there is many more to come. With you together, we create this educational business community, and our goal is to bring you this informative business content in every single episode of the American Business Podcast. Our goal is to provide you this content, and as professionals together, we can keep improving ourselves and continuously improve ourselves and adapt, change, and improve our knowledge base as professionals. That's our goal. Okay, great. Well, let's update our screen. All right, so in the American Business Podcast in 2025, we talk about many different industries. We talk about real estate, we talk about professional services, cybersecurity, and others. And one of the industries that we really focus on is actually manufacturing. In coming episode, I'd like you to focus on U.S. manufacturing, and let's also look at the state of American manufacturing, and we'll focus on episode 93. Issue 79 with Raj Lassalle. And we'll talk about American manufacturing, state of American manufacturing, opportunities and challenges of American manufacturing in current environment in the United States in current market. Let's bring our episode to this episode and let's have a review together. And I'll be back with you after the review and share my thoughts and insights with you. Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast. This is Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you, episode 79, season 3. We are getting closer to 100th episode. We are working very hard for it, and we are getting closer every single day. So we are very excited and also very motivated for this goal for the 100th episode. Today's number is 6. This is how many professionals join the Connection America Business Alliance online networking event this morning. We had a chance to host 6 business professionals, and we ran the online business networking event live on the American Business Podcast. American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. Today, we have a special guest. We'll talk about American manufacturing. We'll talk about the opportunities in manufacturing and the state of American manufacturing. Let's welcome our guest and let's get the conversation started.
Hello,
Hello,
Kevin.
welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much. Very excited to be here with you and chatting with your audience.
I appreciate it. Thank you for being with us in your busy schedule.
It's my pleasure. It's absolutely my pleasure.
I hope you are having a great week so far.
Yeah, Kevin, I had a great week. Anytime I get to get out and meet with our customers, it's a great week. So I just returned from Huntsville, Alabama. I'm back here in Colorado in my home office here Friday, and it's been a great week. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, we have a lot to cover, and we are looking forward to learning from you. As you know, the American Business Podcast is an educational, informative podcast and the voice of American business. In this sense, I'm sure there are a lot of things that we need to learn from you. As a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our listeners and to our audience?
Absolutely. So my name is Rush Lascelles. I have the privilege of being the CEO for Fathom Manufacturing. I joined the company in December of last year, so a little over 9 months ago. And Fathom is a manufacturing service provider. I'll unpack that a little bit, but just to give you a bit about the size and the scope, we've got about 350,000 square feet of manufacturing space here in the United States. We have nearly 500 very dedicated manufacturing employees and team members that I'm really proud to be representing here today with you. And really, I think what's special about us, and I think it leads into the conversation we'll have today, Kevin, is a manufacturing service provider. What does that mean? Well, we obviously manufacture things. We have equipment. equipment. But I think that what's really most exciting is about the opportunity for our team members to solve problems for our customers. We tend to focus on early stage, low volume, and really get to be intimate with our customers about what they're trying to produce, what their design engineers want, and how you actually get that into a factory and out to their customers. So very excited.
Yes, some of our audience and listeners, they know I have a soft spot for American manufacturing, and I used to work in manufacturing myself, and I've been involved in American manufacturing industry in different roles, different capacities in last 10 years, I must say. So I'm really happy to have you and hear more about your insights about American manufacturing. Well, let's talk about your career path a little bit. How your career path has evolved, unfolded over the years? How did you get started?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll spare you too far back in history. I've been in the manufacturing industry for over 30 years. Started as an intern working actually here in Colorado in a molding shop when Samsonite Luggage was making plastic hard-sided luggage just outside of downtown Denver. And really, I think that mine, like many people in our industry, Kevin, started just out of sheer curiosity. A lot of the younger listeners probably aren't as much car guys as a lot of us were, long ago. But, just understanding how things work propelled me to get into manufacturing. And, from there, I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to join world-class organizations, work alongside a lot of people. And I think the majority of my career has really been around, whether it was in the robotics space, trying to figure out how to make U.S. manufacturers more effective and efficient. And then more recently with some of those manufacturers trying to understand how to participate in the global environment and how to really navigate tricky supply chains. And where do you manufacture? Where do you hire engineering technicians? And boy, Kevin, it's just been a fantastic journey that's landed me here with the Fathom team, doing much of what I just described.
Yeah, this is really exciting. And since I'm very close to American manufacturing, I also understand the challenges in general, especially finding talent, adapting technology, being competitive in the marketplace, especially in this year. The focus on the American manufacturing actually became an opportunity for manufacturers in the sense to introduce manufacturing to next generation, as well as making investments for to be even more competitive in global marketplaces, and more importantly, making as much as in US to make it made in USA, right? So these are important initiatives. I actually had a chance to join some of the events. The head of small business administration came from DC, and they had actually roadshow, a trip that they were just going from city to city, town to town to talk to manufacturers. And that even showed the enthusiasm and determination in this sense to how to support manufacturers, American manufacturers, to make things in US. So that's really important in that sense. Another important part that I've been seeing and observing is to introduce manufacturing to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So the old perception is like difficult, dirty work environment. You don't want to be in manufacturing. That's the typical mindset that they have, the perception for the manufacturing, which is not the case.
Right.
I was at an event. I had a tour, factory tour yesterday in Hapag Industrial Park on Long Island, part of New York, and things are very modern nowadays, right? So a lot of technology is being used. The work environments are also attractive, clean, nice. And these also needs to be introduced to the next generation so they can understand the potentials for them to build their career. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you said so much there, but let me start with, I think manufacturing has had a PR problem for many, many decades, frankly. When I came out of engineering school, I went to school in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was one of the few that didn't go into high tech. Again, because I'm mechanically inclined, and most of my peers and classmates were like, well, why would you go do that? Because as you perfectly said, it just has a perception of, as we talked about in the robotics industry, the 3Ds: dirty, dull, dangerous. That if you go into a factory, that's what you should expect, and so it wasn't a really exciting place to go to work. And I think, unfortunately, that's permeated over the last, certainly couple decades here. And some of the brightest minds that are coming out of university or trade schools are opting to go into computer industries and other places, and they're not even considering the wealth of opportunities in manufacturing. So I think that's just part of the problem statement. And there's a lot of folks like yourself who I think are doing the right thing and trying to educate our younger people that, look, there's a lot to do. And I would tell you that you're 100% right. There are factories that are using more AI than you're going to find in some office spaces in Silicon Valley. There are an amazing amount of opportunities to apply computing skills, critical thinking. It's not just, lifting parts and putting them on cars. It's just, that is not what it is. And I think as a economy, we're compelled, folks like yourself and me, to usher in the next generation. So it's a very important discussion.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at your day-to-day work. What are the exciting and challenging parts of your work on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, it's really trying to clear a lot of the roadblocks for my team to go and do the wonderful things they want to do. One of our mantras at Fathom is really get decision making and autonomy closest to two very critical points, Kevin. One is we've got wonderful technicians and people who understand how to use the equipment that we use, whether it's CNC, whether it's 3D printers, whatever the equipment or modality of manufacturing. Get those folks empowered to talk to and get closest to the second most important set of constituents in our world, which are our customers. And because of what we just discussed, Kevin, the fact that manufacturing's had a tough go in the last 10, 20 years. You can look at some indices recently, like the PMI, which is a Purchasing Managers Index, which says that we're buying less today than we were yesterday. And unfortunately, companies have lost, either by way of attrition and aging out older engineers. There are gaps between a lot of new, exciting companies who need products, need access to the people I'm describing on our machines, 3D printers, et cetera. And that's really what I think about doing every day, is trying to get those folks together so that we can solve their problems and do what our employees really love to do, which is solve those problems.
Let's talk about the state of U.S. manufacturing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
In general, how do you see the U.S. manufacturing? We talk about it a little bit, but let's just expand on it, if that's okay.
Yeah.
How do you see the U.S. manufacturing right now? The state of U.S. manufacturing. What are their challenges, and what are the opportunities that you see in general?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with, I think, the challenges. The challenges are some products should not be manufactured in high-wage nations. I mean, that's just a little bit of table stakes. And once you get comfortable with that, because there are certain areas in the globe where people don't require the same pay that we do here in the US. So there's the first foundational challenge, is that if you said all manufacturing, well, that's part of our problem statement. That doesn't preclude a lot of really exciting things that we see happening here in the US that make folks like myself very optimistic. If you look at what we're seeing in the way of humanoid robotics, you think about what we're doing in and around anything AI enabled robotics, and then you start looking at electric vehicles, and then you start looking at some of the things that our government's trying to do for infrastructure. There are just a tremendous amount of places for domestic manufacturers to add value into the supply chain, and recognize that we're part of an ecosystem. And when we recognize that not everything should be done here in the U.S. and not everything should be done outside of the U.S., and that there's going to be cross synergy, our supply chains, I think there's a lot to be excited about. And again, I'd love to speak to the people who are considering entering the industry, because again, AI and a lot of the things that we're reading about every day has a broad applicability into U.S. manufacturing.
Well, speaking of PR of manufacturing, guess what? The manufacturing day is coming, right? That's the first week of October, the
right.
First Friday. So it's a great opportunity to promote manufacturing in the US, promote manufacturing as a career path to the next generation. It's very exciting, and some organization that I'm a part of, they organize events to invite students, schools for factory tours. Some of them they have to trade shows or conferences to invite students and their parents to educate their parents as well about American manufacturing and the state of American manufacturing in general. These are really those are really exciting days coming up. Even though that is the first Friday of October, fundamentally the October is considered manufacturing month. So that's a great opportunity for that promotion of American manufacturing.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great time as well. I mean, I have 3 children. 2 of them are in high school, and 1 is off to university. And it's a great time to have these conversations with our young people, because having just had someone go off and go through the application process into college, we need more people to think about the fact that there's a huge need for smart folks and a great career path within manufacturing. So yes, October is a great day to help promote that and make the awareness there for a lot of families like mine who are trying to steer their children into good careers.
Yes, absolutely. And internships as well as apprenticeship programs are great start
Indeed,
for students.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's frequently overlooked and it shouldn't be.
Well, let's talk about AI a little bit. You also mentioned about robotics a little bit,
Yep.
But the combination of both will be great, of course, in manufacturing, which is in progress. So let's focus on AI. How do you see the impact of AI on U.S. manufacturing? So is it gonna be just all AI in the future with robotics combined together, or there is gonna be always the human factor in the processes? What do you think?
Well, I absolutely categorically think that there's going to always be a need for the human element. Even if you look way off in the future, there's a need for creativity, and that's what we are uniquely positioned to do as people, right? As creative and curious people coming into the workforce. That having been said, AI is going to be pervasive, and it's going to be very helpful. Again, early in my career, I had the opportunity to work alongside companies that were putting robotics into places to really alleviate people from doing what I mentioned a moment ago, the 3Ds, dull, dirty, and dangerous. And really what that speaks to is getting people out of types of work that they don't want to do, the repetitive stuff that doesn't take advantage of their mind. AI is similar in more of a, think about what you do on a computer day to day. Much of it is repetitive. Think about reports that you might be writing and other things. A lot of that can be automated. And what it does is it frees up knowledge workers. And this is true, equally true, if not more so in the factory, because we have so much equipment that needs to be programmed and taught and scheduled. And a lot of that is repetitive work, even if it is done on a computer or a PLC, a programmable device. A lot of that stuff, can and will be done through AI, should be done with AI. Once again, freeing people to do more of the work that I think is interesting to them.
Let's talk about your role models, if that's okay. Have you had any role models, mentors who help shape your career path?
Yeah, Kevin, great question. I've been very, very fortunate to have a number of them. Two immediately come to mind. One gentleman who employed me early in my career, and I think what I really learned from him was just the power of assembling the right group of people. Not always with the same view, right? You don't want to suffer from groupthink, but that particular manager of mine, who was the CEO of the company at the time, really instilled upon me that doesn't really matter what business you're in. If you've got the right people working in a similar way, really all problems can be overcome. And then the second one that comes to mind when you ask the question is I had the good fortune to work at Jabil, which is a very, very large contract manufacturing company. And the CEO at the time really not only preached, but practiced servitude to the employees. And that just, it really helped to motivate to understand that we're all here to help our employees. And, those two folks, I think, just watching how people responded to that level of leadership, it was very helpful for me.
Absolutely. Well, if there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way, what would it be? Would you share it with us?
Yeah, I think I'd probably have to think more recently about just management and leadership. I think one thing I would say is if you're not willing to have challenging conversations with really anybody, but starting with your employees, you're doing them a disservice. And so some of my hard lessons were by trying to keep peace among teams, maybe not directing or redirecting, and doing that just to try to keep calm. And I think that what I've found in my career is that the more I'm caring enough to tell someone that, hey, if you attend to this either deficiency or do something differently, you're going to be more successful. We're going to be more successful, and have those hard conversations. I think by not having that, I learned some lessons earlier in my management career that hopefully some folks can sidestep.
But in your career journey, has there been a book, or maybe books, any movie or a show that helped you shape your perspective professionally?
It's funny you asked this. I was just speaking about a book just last week that I go to quite frequently, and it's called Shackleton's Way. Shackleton's Way, and it's about an explorer who overcomes just one hurdle after another, the impossible, and all the way through it remained tremendously optimistic, and more importantly, brought folks through really, really difficult times. And I'll share with you one of the quotes that always stands by me, and it was actually a quote from Napoleon, and it was, "Leaders are dealers in hope." And I share that because on the heels of my earlier comment, you definitely want your teams to be performing, but you also have to help paint the picture and remind that if we do this and we all believe in our mission, that tomorrow will be better than today. And so Shackleton's Way is one that comes to mind.
Yeah, this is really inspiring. What are your biggest passions and interests outside of work?
I work a lot, and I mentioned I have 3 kids. So I think one thing that if any other of your listeners or audience members or parents, they'll recognize your hobbies very quickly shrink into your family and children. And so I've been very fortunate that my kids are athletes and they're wonderful students. And so whenever I'm not working, I am doing something in and around their lives. And I've been fortunate to be able to do that. So my kids are my hobby.
Absolutely, yes, makes a lot of sense. Family first.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to go back history, to what time period would you go back, and why?
That's another really good one. I am a bit of a manufacturing nerd, Kevin. I think that while I could pick a number of things, I was fascinated with the optimism and excitement that Henry Ford brought to manufacturing. And I cite many of his quotes and many of the teachings. So I would say that because of that, 1905 to 1910, which is classically defined as the beginning of the conveyorized manufacturing and automation boom. Ford was actually very instrumental in post-war industrial revolution. But I'd say I would love to go back and really watch how he motivated the nation to industrialize with a view to getting an automobile in every driveway to free up people to explore the world. I just think it was a wonderful connection point of a mission and something that we all take for granted that, without Henry Ford, people couldn't afford cars. And that has played out time and time again with computers, with phones, and the list goes on. So probably somewhere with Henry Ford.
Well, in our professional journey, we all have difficult times from time to time, right? And sometimes challenging times. How do you stay motivated and inspired?
It's a really good question. I think it's a great question for people to hear on your podcast, because manufacturing, again, I'll reference the PMI, and for anybody who's not familiar with it, it's the Purchasing Managers Index, frequently referenced in industry as whether we're expanding or contracting. and the good portion of the last 36 months have been contraction. And so I think a lot of people in the manufacturing space have kind of asked that question: is, well, what, why is this exciting? What should I stay in? So I gave you my view of Henry Ford. I think that people who can stay true to a mission, who understand that if we're trying to go to space, if we're trying to aid the human condition in healthcare, if we're just trying to help with communications with cell phones, et cetera, if through your hard days you can remain connected to that mission, and this is what great leaders do, I think it's what great managers do, is once again saying, look, this will pass, but let's remember that we're going somewhere with it and it's worth fighting for.
What would be your career advice for the next generation business professionals who are just entering into the job market?
Yeah. I'm a devout believer that curiosity is a predictor of success. And everybody has a curiosity in one way, shape, or form about something. And, for us, I think that one of the things that binds most everyone in the manufacturing industry is that innate curiosity of how things work, how to make them better, whether it's continuous improvement. And I'd say that follow your heart. There's something out there for everyone. And I've been reading a lot about the trades. So if you don't want to go to university, that's great, because there's such a need for people who understand how to be an electrician, how to be this, how to be that, and the future's so bright. So I would just say, remain curious. And then the other thing I'd also say is that you over time you learn how to be courageous, right? And it speaks to your last question is, how do you overcome challenges? Well, have the courage to keep persevering through it, as long as, again, what you're working on is something you're curious about.
For those who likes to be in touch with you to learn more about your organization, or who likes to continue this conversation, what is the best way to be in touch with you?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, would love for people to come and take a look at what we do on our website. And our website is www.fathom, FATHOM, MFG, but for manufacturing, so fathommfg.com. And then you can reach me through that. I'm available there, and would love to chat with any of your viewers.
Right. Thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule, and thank you for sharing your professional wisdom with us on this beautiful Friday. Much appreciated.
Absolutely, Kevin, and thank you. I wish you best of luck to getting to 100 and beyond and expanding your viewership. It is a great message, and so thank you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is all mine, and I wish you a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, to our audience and to our listeners, we had a great episode 79. We're almost 80, right? So we are getting close to the 100. Well, we learned a lot about quantum manufacturing, and we also had a chance to get some more insights about American manufacturing in this episode. So it was very educational. I hope you like it. You found it to be informative. As I always say, in the American Business Podcast, you'll always learn something new. And that is why we invite business owners, leaders, entrepreneurs, manufacturers, all experts. They share their professional wisdom with you. And that this creates the education and informative environment for all of us. Well, would you like to be a guest in the American Business Podcast? Just send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. Also, we welcome sponsors and advertisers. If you like to advertise in the American Business Podcast or sponsor, you can also send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We also welcome your insights. What do you think about the American Business Podcast? Do you have any questions? Would you like us to share a particular subject? Would you like us to invite a particular guest? Please let us know. Your insights are important, because at the end of the day, the American Business Podcast is your podcast, and we like to make sure you are seeing the insights, you are seeing the content that you are interested. Feel free to send us an email. Also, I'd like to invite you to our website, americanpodcast.tv. We update it on weekly basis, so you can learn more about the American Business Podcast, coming schedule, as well as you'll have a chance to get the links for our YouTube channel, the Connection America Business Networking event, registration links, also links to Spotify, Amazon Music, Instagram, and other social media channels that we are a part of. We also have a membership program, as you know, that you can also register, join, and be a part of this growing business-minded community. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we got YouTube Silver Award because we have now more than 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you for your support. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel. This is the QR code right here. You can scan these. They'll take you to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe and support us. And if you are feeling more generous, you can also share your comments, thoughts in the chat box, in the comment box in YouTube channel as well. Really appreciate it. Okay, what else is happening? As you know, we have an online networking event called the Connection America Business Networking Event. Today, we performed the one that we organized for September, and the one for October is scheduled for October 24th. If you are interested in promoting your company, your products and services, meeting with other business professionals, I'd like to invite you to the Connection America Business Alliance Business Networking event. I have the QR code on the screen. You can scan the QR code and sign up for the next online networking event. The unique thing about the networking event that we are having is, A, you'll be able to network with other business professionals who are joining the Connection America networking event. B, you'll be on the American Business Podcast live. So our audience, thousands of business-minded professionals, subscribers and supporters and followers, they will be watching your interactions with other business professionals during this networking event. So that is the unique thing about it, and it's going to be live on the American Business Podcast. We launch our membership program, and we allow you to be a member. We allow you to join. So we put together different types of membership programs with different benefits. When you scan this QR code, or when you go to our YouTube channel, or you can go to our website, americanpodcast.tv, you'll have the membership types that we put together. You can pick the one that you like, and you can sign up and join the American Business Podcast membership program. Each membership type comes with benefits, and we love to have your support as well. So it means a lot to us, and you are more than welcome to join this growing membership program and enjoy the benefits of the membership. Let's talk about some.
I hope you enjoyed this episode with Raish Lassalle. And in that episode, we focus on American manufacturing. There are more than 600,000 manufacturers in the United States. And when we interact with manufacturers, they actually share similar challenges, just like Raish mentioned. Talent retention, talent acquisition, adaptation to technology. These are very common challenges in the US. And especially nowadays with tariffs and changes in the marketplace, it really forces American manufacturers to adapt these changes. And also, of course, AI is coming up. So AI powered software systems as well as robotic manufacturing is also adaptation subject for American manufacturers, as Raish mentioned in the episode. Okay, great. Now let's review our next episode, and I'd like you to focus on episode 93. We're gonna change the subject, and we're gonna focus on lifestyle vacation asset management. And we had a special guest, Sean Moore. He specialized in lifestyle vacation asset management. So in this particular episode, we'll learn about fundamentals of lifestyle asset management and the market conditions, and also we'll get his professional insights about the industry as well as some of his ideas in terms of what is the best way to get familiar with asset management, lifestyle asset management industry. Let's get these episodes started, and then we'll continue this conversation together in 2025 year in review episode of the American Business Podcast. Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you, episode 93. And today's number is 89 billion. That's the global vacation rental market size in 2023, $89 billion. In the American Business Podcast, which is the voice of American business, we have experts to bring you informative and educational content. Speaking of global vacation rental market, we have a great guest today. We'll talk about lifestyle asset market, global vacation rental market, and we learn something new, as we always do in the American Business Podcast episode. Let's invite our guest and let's get the conversation started. Hello, Sean. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate you having me. Excited to be here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being with us in your busy schedule. How is your week going so far?
It is going amazing. It's we always say around here, it's a great day to be alive when we show up to the office. So it's the week's going well. How's your week going?
So far, so good. This morning, I had a chance to speak to some business owners in New York metro area. I talk about digital transformation and CRM software systems. So I started, especially today was actually pretty good, but the week is good so far. So no complaints.
Yeah, you guys have a big change. The eyes are on New York City now. There was a big election for you guys. We're
correct.
We're all wondering how this is going to turn out. So we're watching you guys.
Yes. So fundamentally, our podcast is a non-political podcast, but this is a news. Right? This is all news. So absolutely. Yes, we have a new mayor. Yeah, absolutely. That's all good. So in New York City, we have a new mayor. So it's very exciting. We'll see how it's going to go. So they say, from our understanding, about like 58 days till the new mayor gets started. So there is that transition period. So we are all watching, seeing how it's going to be. But it's quite an experience for all of us, and a very colorful election day yesterday and in the last couple of weeks. So we'll see how it's going to go. It remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, right?
Yes.
And so we just care how it affects our businesses.
Correct. I mean, in business, as we always do, we always look for prosperity. We always look for good economy, and that stability is always good for us. And New York being the largest city in the country, and it's the most important city in the world in terms of financially, global finance, global business, commerce point of view, very important for our nation. So yes, absolutely. So all eyes are on New York City, and I think we're gonna see how it's gonna go in incoming months.
Yeah, awesome.
Sounds great. Well, why don't we get started? Would you please introduce yourself and your organization briefly to our audience and to our listeners?
Absolutely. So I'm Sean Moore, founder and CEO of Odyssey, and it is a company that helps vacation rental investors, high income earners, busy professionals, business owners really navigate into alternative investments. We happen to focus on short-term rentals. And so I have been a full-time real estate investor for almost 26 years now. It's all that's paid my bills. And so I've navigated a lot of different asset classes. I started getting into short-term rental investing back in 2006. And then everybody got really introduced to short-term rentals right after COVID. And so it really added fuel to the fire of that business, of that industry. You mentioned there was an $89 billion global market share in 2023, where now it's around $120 billion. And so it just continues to grow. The consumer really likes it. It became a mainstream asset class. And so as such, we started getting a lot of questions about this new asset class. When we started investing in it, it was before Airbnb was even around. And so we were kind of right place, right time when we founded Odyssey and became kind of the U.S. leader in as far as helping U.S. investors be able to navigate this new asset class. And then we've expanded it into a lot of different international markets as well. And so it's been a lot of fun watching this really grow up from the wild, wild west. Brand new asset. Not a lot of people knew about it. to being taken really serious as a mainstream asset class now for the residential and the retail investors, kind of the average everyday Americans. Not a lot of institutional investors are looking at it as an asset class because it's hard to place a whole bunch of money in it, right? The big institutional investors need to place hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's not how the short-term rental world works. And so it's been a lot of fun really watching this and navigating it with a lot of retail investors.
When you say it started from Wild Wild West, it really started from the West. I think that's what you meant. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, we're out in Utah, and it's yeah. Always wearing my cowboy hat, my cowboy
I love
boots,
it.
and
Love it.
I have my cows and my chickens, and horses, and we have a lot of fun.
That's great. And as we chat earlier, before we get started, I love Utah. I've been there a couple of times for work. It's a beautiful state. So that definitely it's good to talk about it. And I'm glad it all started from there, from the beautiful state. It's exciting.
Yeah, it did. It's a lot of fun, and it's really a hub of, like, we've got they call it the Big Five national parks here in Utah, and so it is a mecca for short-term rentals as well. So it's kind of the backstory of where I started, and then it's grown from there.
Can you tell us about your career path a little bit? How did you get started? How your career path has unfolded over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to college on a basketball scholarship. So I was an athlete back in college, played Division I basketball, and ended up having a job right out of college. Graduated, got a job selling steel as a steel service rep, they called it, and I would sell truckloads of steel to big manufacturing organizations. And my office was right next to this guy that would commute to work in a helicopter. And after a couple months of working there, I thought, I'm going to go find out what this guy does. And we went over, and I knocked on the door, made a little bit of small talk with him, and realized that, and asked him, and he said he was a real estate investor. And I thought, man, that's at this time I was making $31,000 a year selling truckloads of steel, and I was definitely not flying a helicopter to work. And so I started thinking, I started picking his brain a little bit. He wrote a couple books. I read a couple of his books, spent a bunch of time in Barnes and Noble, and followed what he said. And within a couple months, I had bought and sold a contract and made $19,000 by locking a property up and then selling the contract to him. And I thought, man, this was a heck of a lot easier than working a 2/3 of the year to make that same $19,000. So at that point, I decided to get into real estate in real estate investing in my early 20s, and did a lot of fix and flip type of projects, did a lot of development deals over the years. And so my career path has always been in real estate, navigated a lot of residential type real estate, didn't ever really get into the big commercial multifamily stuff. Built and sold and bought and fixed and flipped a whole bunch, hundreds and hundreds of single family homes. And then at the time we started getting into development, I started getting into kind of resort development. And that's what really kind of got me interested in short-term vacation rentals. And I bought a property in a mountain town in Utah and ended up renting it out on the weekends on Craigslist and local classifieds, and started realizing, man, there's some money to be made here. And one thing led to another, and it's where it led us to the short-term rental game, and as much as we're into it now. And a lot of timing was a part of that. Short-term rentals were just getting started; they were just getting popular, and so we were able to ride that wave into the market that it is today.
When you think about your day-to-day work, what are the exciting and challenging parts of your work on daily basis?
Yeah, one of the things I love about real estate is every deal is unique. As much as we follow a blueprint and a path for acquisition, for setup and management, for marketing these properties, every property is very unique. Every person's situation is very unique. I've been very fortunate to be able to work with some of the top investors across the country with what we do. And so we have a finger on the pulse of this industry, to say the least. We work with about 3,000 active investors buying properties. So we're underwriting a lot of deals. We're seeing a lot of deals. And so the exciting parts of my work.
Looks like we lost your voice. Let's see.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, perfect.
Oh, I apologize. I don't
No
know. I
worries.
don't know when that muted out. So
It's
I
all right.
apologize. It was, but I was just saying, the best part about what I like is just being able to see individual deals on a daily basis, and because of the footprint that we have, and the because of how big Vodacy is and how many deals we underwrite, we're constantly busy, and there's never a dull moment, right? So it's a lot of fun.
What is the state of lifestyle asset market nowadays? How do you see the
Yeah,
market?
it's so lifestyle assets, short-term rentals, they were becoming very, very popular right before COVID. They were having a very normal rise to becoming a mainstream asset class, fairly consistent growth, not like skyrocketing growth, pretty consistent growth from about 2014, 15 to about 2019. COVID hit and everything fell off a cliff, but it only fell off a cliff for about 2 weeks. And then as soon as it fell off the cliff, it's almost like it hit the bottom and a rocket ship took off. And instantly, short term rentals became the shining star of real estate, the shining star of hospitality. Everybody and their dog was making money. It was like having toilet paper during COVID. And it was one of those things that everybody was jumping into. Everybody was making money because the consumer demand was off the charts. That demand has not faded. But what did happen is a lot of investors jumped into the market. So went up. So as supply rose, and it caught up to demand a little bit. Then all of a sudden, short-term rentals started to operate like normal mainstream assets do. And, where you have to compete for some business and you have to figure out marketing and consumer behavior and all those different things that you have to understand in business. It wasn't like people were just knocking down your door and giving you money like they did for a couple of years. And the interesting part about short-term rental and the market itself is the introduction to probably 80% of the people that got into that game and into this game were people that were introduced at the wrong time, in the fact that the expectations were set that this was going to be a really easy game to play. It was just like printing money, right? And no business is going to be printing money long term. If you were ever in a business that has you are in one of your growth periods, or the really kind of the adoption period, and it feels like you're printing money, that's not going to last long term. And so we are now in the short-term rental game, understanding that this is a mainstream asset class. There's things that you have to do. There's T's to cross, there's I's to dot in order to be successful as a short-term rental investor. And that's where we're at right now. We're also seeing that the consumer has more than adopted this as a travel accommodation choice, and for a lot of different reasons. But like the numbers that you were talking about before, we started at the $89 billion in 2023. We're about $120 billion market size right now globally, and it continues to grow. Every year, the consumer is spending more and more money on short-term rentals. However, short-term rental investors, we're seeing that about 80% of the properties on the market don't make money. And the reason for that is because about 10% of the properties make all the money. And so it's definitely a game that you have to understand how to play at the top of it. But the long-term outlook is that the consumer is spending money on this, and they prefer it as an accommodation choice. And in good times and bad, the nice thing about short-term rentals is we're finding there's a lot of surveys when the economic turmoil starts to happen, and we start to hear some chatter about people not making as much as they were before, and they're getting a little tighter on their budgets, that people worry that travel is going to subside and stop. And what we're finding is the consumer is saying, "Hey, listen, we might not fly, to Europe or to Hawaii or somewhere like that, but if we can find a drive-to destination that we can share with a couple families, and we have full kitchens and we can cook and we don't have to go out to eat every day, it gives them an economical way to go have a vacation." And so we're seeing that demand for short-term rentals continues to grow for a lot of different reasons, and we're pretty excited about it as an asset class that is going to be able to withstand some good times and bad times.
How do you see the impact of AI on business nowadays?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's obviously impacted all of us, and it's impacted every business. I don't know that there's a business that it hasn't impacted. For us, and just as a consumer, the amount of information at your fingertips now, the amount of time that has been reduced to do any research on something, it's awesome, right? It's great. We're more efficient. There's a lot of information. Where one of the things we're seeing as a bit of a drawback is because we advertise properties, market properties, we have to attract our customers, convert our customers with pictures and videos. And we're finding that there's a lot of people that are starting to say, hey, listen, we can use AI and get these amazing pictures. We can get these amazing videos of these properties. And it works for them on the front end, but it backfires significantly on the back end because all of a sudden that guest books that property and we're finding that they walk in and they show up and they look around and they think, I don't think I booked the same property, right? Because it was all AI generated photos and videos and everything else. And so you have to be very, very careful how you use it as well. In our specific industry, that is one thing that we're seeing backfire on a lot of investors that are using it a little too much to be on the creative side, to on the marketing side, to basically showcase a product that's not really how it looks when you walk in.
Yes, too much polishing. I think makes
Yes,
it makes it look unrealistic.
Yeah, and it's hard because you're like, hey, I want to do everything to put my best foot forward. I want to attract this customer. I want to convert this customer, but you have to be able to retain a customer as well when they walk in that door, and they shouldn't be disappointed that it's worse than they thought. It needs to be. You need to. Customers need to walk in and it needs to be better than they thought it was going to be. And sometimes AI can, it can put you in a position if you're not careful with it to use it too much on the front end and it looks too good.
I like to talk about your role models, if that's okay. Have you had any role
Yeah.
models? Have you had any mentors in your career path who help you shape your career path?
I'm a huge believer in coaches and mentors. I do not like to reinvent the wheel anytime I don't have to. I spend a small fortune on mentors, so it would not be fair to say I have one or two. I spend a lot of money on a lot of different coaches and mentors on specific business stuff, on mindset, on really anything I'm doing. I'm usually hiring a coach or a mentor. And it's really helped us, and in my opinion, helped me accelerate my progress to what we've been able to do. I didn't know anything about coaching businesses. I didn't know anything about what we were doing when we decided to write a book. And so I would hire coaches and mentors. And we took our coaching business from 0 to 8 figures in less than 12 months. And it was, that's not something I'd ever done. I would never have been able to do it in that amount of time if I was trying to figure it out on my own. And so that's just one small example. But I love, and I usually go for the well-known coaches like the Tony Robbins, the Dean Graziosis, and the people that a lot of people have heard about. But also some of the more niche, smaller coaches that I can dive into and just say, hey, listen, there's this one specific problem I'm working on. Can we dive in and do it? And you may never have heard of it, but I usually budget less or a pretty significant amount of money every single year for coaching and mentoring. And I believe 100% we get a minimum of a 10x return on it. And we're budgeting almost $500,000 a year for coaches and mentors.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way, what would it be?
I would say the biggest lesson I've learned over the years is you don't need to be swinging for the fence. When I was early on in my career, I'd always swing for the fence. I'd always try to hit the home run. I was only looking for home run deals. And what happened is I was losing out on a lot of base hits that would turn into home runs over time. And you realize that you have to put the time in regardless. Like I like to accelerate time with coaches, mentors, things like that we were talking about. But one of the things that I always felt like when I was early on in my career, I was very impatient. Still feel like I'm an impatient person, but I'm way more willing to play the long game now than I ever was in the beginning. And if I knew that early on and you were willing to play the long game early on, I think I'd be in a much different position. I think a lot of us would be if we were starting to play the long game early on instead of looking for that instant gratification, that instant home run. And when you're swinging for a home run every time, you just don't always you never hit the ball, and you end up losing out on a couple of deals and striking out a few times when you could have just taken those base hits and they would have turned into home run over time anyway.
Is there any book, any show, or a movie that helped you shape your career perspective over the years?
Yeah, two of my favorite books written by Tim Grover. It's Relentless and Winning, and I would say those two books have shaped my business career more than any other books that I've read. outside of the classics of, I'm a Napoleon Hill fan. I love Think and Grow Rich. One of his unpublished books for a long time is called Outwitting the Devil, and I recommend those to anybody starting off in anything. I make my kids read them. And then recently, over the last probably decade, I've loved Relentless and Winning. And what they are is books about the grind and how hard it is to win, and how difficult it is to really be in the winner's circle. And kind of the everybody wants the view, nobody wants to climb type of a book, and a reminder that it's usually ugly, and it's usually you have to roll up your sleeves, and it's usually hard days, and there's more hard days than there are days that you're sitting there celebrating a lot of times. And I love those books as a reminder that when we're going through those hard days, we're not the only ones. Most winners have done that. Most people who are at the top of anything have been doing that, and they realize that grind. I look at the people who win championships and athletes, and they grab the trophy and they're crying. And a lot of times it's that celebration, that celebratory moment, is that there is a reflection back of how much work it took to get to that point. Right. And those books remind me, and I love those books for that reason, of just saying, hey, listen, winning is sometimes ugly. Winning is hard. It's one of those things that is just, it's not for everybody, and not everybody's cut out for it, for the reason that they just don't stick it out, and they don't have the grit and determination to do it. And so I love those books for those reasons. And then the ultimate classics of Think and Grow Rich, great book by Napoleon Hill, and then Outwitting the Devil is one of my favorites to recommend of people who like Napoleon Hill and have never read that. He was afraid to publish it. Actually never published it while he was alive. His family never published it while they were alive. And if it's something you've never read or heard, I recommend the audiobook of it, because it's two people. It's him having a conversation with the devil and going back and forth on, what it takes to succeed, and what it takes in business and in life to succeed, and how they have this conversation back and forth. Is very interesting to me.
What are your biggest passions and interests outside of work?
So I love the outdoors. I'm a guy that I live on a little mini farm. I wouldn't call it a ranch or a farm. It's kind of a mini farm. We have our little Highland cows and horses and chickens and gardens and all that stuff. And so I love just hanging out, and I love gardening. I love working on the land. One of the things I very much enjoy doing is fly fishing. Out west, we have a lot of rivers, trout rivers, and so we'll take drift boats down and places. I love places my phone doesn't work and we can just disconnect and you find me pretty much any time of the year in the mountains. I'm happy.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that we can really get disconnected nowadays, because of the cell phone and all the connection that we have, over connection that we have.
Yes,
Actually,
absolutely. It's I'm a big disconnect guy, and so I love the conveniences of being able to connect when we want to, but I love the recharge of being able to disconnect.
Would you say being close to the nature has a positive impact on you in general?
100%. I can't imagine. I very much appreciate those big cities that you live in, and all the things that happen in those big cities. I can't imagine for me being able to not be close to nature and being able to recharge. For me, it's a huge kind of reset button. And so, yeah, I can't imagine being anywhere else.
If you had a chance to go back history, personally and historically, to what time period would you like to go back, and why?
Well, you put me back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, heading out west, settling some of this land, being a homesteader. That would be my.
That is the Wild West.
That is the Wild West. You put me in that environment, I'm pretty happy. I'll put a 6-shooter on my side, a horse, and a wagon, and come out west and find some land. That's me.
So it's gonna be fundamentally the same state, but it's gonna be like 1800s, right? A different time, but around same geography. Yes.
It would definitely be the Intermountain West, Idaho, Utah, Montana, Wyoming, maybe Eastern Wyoming or Western Wyoming. I love the mountains out here.
That's amazing. Yes, thank you for this answer. Well, you also mentioned earlier a little bit. Sometimes we have challenges in business. We have difficulties. We have hardships. This happens, and during these times, how to stay motivated and inspired in business?
So this has changed for me over time, right? How do you, because motivation fades. We all know that. Inspiration fades. And so when you really study, or when I do, at least, one of the things that I find as a commonality between really successful people is they don't rely on motivation and inspiration to keep moving forward. They're very disciplined. What they do is they've built a discipline, and they are able to keep commitments, and really keep commitments to themselves. Like if I tell myself, I'm gonna wake up every single day at 5 and I'm gonna work out, and I start doing that, and nobody knows. I don't post it on social media or anything else, but I know. And it gives me a lot of confidence. And to start off the day is saying, hey, listen, I kept that commitment. I'm going to keep another commitment. And so I think motivation and inspiration need to be replaced with a disciplined routine, where sometimes you just have to do it when you don't want to do it. I have in my office, I have an axe hanging up on the wall. And it's a reminder that most of the things we have to do every day are pretty simple, but they're not always easy. An axe is not an easy tool to use, right? It has to be sharpened. There's got to be an effort put into it. You gotta swing that axe. It doesn't have a pull start, right? It doesn't work itself. And so you have to be consistent with where you're hitting that tree. And then the final thing is you have to be persistent, right? A tree is not going to fall with one swing of the axe. And if I'm building a house out in the woods, or building anything, or needing that tree to fall, I've got to swing that axe when my hands hurt, when they're blistered, and I want to do anything but swing the axe. And I think that when what you have to do, at least for me, is remind myself that there's going to be plenty of days that I don't want to do certain things. But I want the end result. I want the end goal. And so you have to remind yourself what we're working towards, and realize that it's not always going to be every single day I want to work toward that. But I do want someday to look back and say, man, I did that. And by doing that and reminding yourself of that, in my opinion, that habit of discipline starts to build, and you start to develop this mindset of saying, hey, listen, I'm going to do this even if I don't want to do it. And the more we do it, the easier it is to not worry so much about the motivation and the inspiration to get us moving.
What is your career advice for the next generation business professionals?
Man, I think the younger generation has such an advantage right now. I do believe that they have, you know, we always try to focus, a lot of times when you listen to the news and everything else, we focus on all the hardships and the things that why it's going to be tough for them. One of the things I think is a huge advantage. I have 14-year-old kids, and I have this conversation with them a lot. I have twins, and I tell them, you guys have a big advantage right now, because a lot of people have gotten used to kind of being victims. They've gotten used to, it's okay to be a victim and blame things on other people. And I feel like that younger generation coming up, if they can have a long-term mindset, I'm like, think in 3-5 year timeframes. What are you working on for the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? And when you can start to have a little bit of a long-term mindset, and you develop the skills that a lot of people are losing, communication skills specifically, I think are huge skills to have for the younger generation, because communication leads to influence. And when when you can communicate and influence, and ultimately work, and not like say, hey, listen, I'm going to take this personal responsibility, and I'm going to have, self-reliance, personal responsibility, and not play that victim role, or not be a victim. And because guess what? At the end of the day, what if you are the biggest victim? What if all these things happened to you? At the end of the day, who cares? Like, nobody cares, right? It's like, so here's your badge. You might have had some major bad things happen to you in your life, or somebody wasn't fair to you, or whatever else, but it doesn't really matter. And so my advice to the younger generation is forget about that stuff. Let it roll off. Don't lose sight of your 1, 3, 5 year plan, and develop the skill sets that a lot of people are forgetting about. When you go to restaurants and everything else, and you look around, look how many people are just staring at cell phones. And when they are in a group of people, they're staring at a phone. They don't look at people in the eyes anymore. They don't talk. One of the things I talk to my kids about is, at the end of every meal that we have in a restaurant, I ask them what color of eyes the waiter or waitress had, because I want them looking in their eyes. I want them talking to them and looking up. And so trying to say, hey, listen, if you're younger and you develop those skill sets that are kind of getting forgotten about a little bit, in my opinion, and you ultimately take responsibility, don't say, hey, listen, houses are too expensive and I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. figure out how to do it. There's ways to do it. And when you take that mindset and you look at a little bit longer term time horizon, the future looks really, really bright, I think, for the younger generation.
Appreciate it. Thank you for these insights. For those who likes to continue this conversation with you, learn more about your organization as well as the lifestyle asset market, vacation market. What is the best way to be in touch with you? Also, learn more about your organization.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Kevin. It is, if you go to vodacy.com, that's going to be the easiest place, VODYSSEY.com. And that has links to all of our stuff. We have lots of resources on vacation home investing. I've got a book, we've got a podcast, we've got all kinds of places you can tap into and find out a little bit more about what we're doing. You can follow us on socials, but all of that will be there at vodacy.com. If there's a point where you're saying, hey, listen, I really would like to have a conversation, we've got ways for you to book a call with us and get on the phone, and we'll have strategy calls and help you navigate some of your next steps into short-term rental investing. We love it. It's not for everybody. And so it's good to know the pros and the cons of what you're going to get into. And so that's why we have those. But there's a lot of resources at vodacy.com, and that's the best place for people to start.
Also, on November 21st, we have an online networking event that we stream on the American Business Podcast. Yourself or someone from your team, whoever is available that you like to join, you are more than welcome. I'll send you this invitation as well.
Love it.
And if you like to join, you are more than welcome. If you're not available, someone from your team is also more than welcome.
Awesome.
As well.
We'll make sure I'm there or somebody's there for sure.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yes, I think I have your email address, but to make sure, if you can put it in the chat box for me, I'll make sure I'll send you the invite.
Perfect. We'll absolutely do that.
Yes, I appreciate it. Sean, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule. And I really enjoyed the conversation. That was actually very educational. First time we talk about lifestyle asset market. So this was great.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me, and it's always fun to talk about and network and with other business minds. And so, yeah, I appreciate the conversation, Kevin.
Absolutely. And if you come to New York area, please make sure to let me know so we can.
I will do it. I'll have an extra cowboy hat for you when I come.
Oh wow, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I always think about getting one of these, but I never had a chance. So that'd be really cool. Thank you so much for thank you so much for the coming hat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Have a great week. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Well, to our audience and to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I like it very much. As I always say, we always learn something new. And there is these listening to experts and learning from them, learning from their life experience, professional experience is priceless. And that is why we put together this podcast. That's how we started earlier this year. Now we have episode 93, and our goal is to pass 100 within this year, which we are getting closer. And the beauty of having experts on the American Business Podcast is learning from them, continuous learning, continuous improvement, and there is always room for improvement. And the American Business Podcast is the platform, is the podcast to share educational content, informative content, and bring you something new in each episode. I hope you found the episode to be informative. That was an interesting episode for us. Also, we all learned something new in that episode, particularly about the lifestyle asset and lifestyle asset industry. The insights were really educational, and a couple of blue points that actually Sean mentioned. One of them was about the AI, for example, using AI carefully and responsibly in terms of the outcome coming up. And he also shared some insights and gave some examples in his industry, what he has been observing, how it has been used so far, and what are the downsides and how to address it. He talked about those parts, which was really important. Also, he talked about the next generation business professionals and how they can prepare themselves for the job market. And one of the points that he made was about having the human relations and having the skill to communicate with others, because the next generation is really technology savvy and utilizing all the technological tools, smartphones, apps, and so on. The human touch, having these one-on-one conversations and developing the human relations, and that skill is becoming more and more important. Well, for the next review, I like us to focus on cybersecurity. In the US as well as globally, we hear about different events and incidents in terms of hacks, ransom uh, incidents and situations, as well as coming compliance requirements in terms of cybersecurity. So let's review episode 81 with Anthony Bonespina, and let's talk about cybersecurity, importance of cybersecurity, fundamentals, and some best practices. So let's bring it to our episode, and we'll continue our review conversation together. So stay tuned.
Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. I'm welcoming you, episode 81. And today's number is 10.5. That is the cybercrime. Cybercrime is projected to cost businesses over $10.5 trillion by 2025. Today we'll talk about cybersecurity, we'll talk about technology, and we'll talk about other informative and educational business subjects, as we always do in the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. We have a special guest today. Let me invite our guest to our virtual stage, and we'll get the conversation started. Hello, Anthony. Welcome to the podcast.
Kevin, thank you for inviting me, and I enjoyed the previous ones, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, for our audience and for our listeners to know, this is our part 2. I had the pleasure of having Anthony before in the American Business Podcast. We had a great conversation about technology, business, as well as cybersecurity. Because of the high views and the request from our audience, we like to have the part 2 in the American Business Podcast. So I'm very excited to have Anthony in this episode 81. So this is really exciting. How is your week going so far, Anthony? How are you?
A lot has changed since the last podcast, so it's going well. We definitely are embracing AI now, even more so, even though I was working on it 35 years ago for the government. We're actually from the commercial sector and so on like that. We're getting a lot of chatter about it. So
yeah, this is great. Long Island Tech Advisors is one of the companies that I follow very closely, and I'm really happy to know the organization, follow the organization under your leadership. And in this episode, we have follow-up conversations as part 2, right? So I'm looking forward to having this conversation. Well, if that's okay, we can get started, and let's get started with AI, to your point. In your view, how AI is impacting businesses in general? A follow-up question: how are businesses adopting AI based on your experience, and how should businesses implement AI in their businesses to utilize it on daily basis? So it's a question within a question. So please take your time.
It's okay. Well, first of all, how is AI affecting businesses in general? Everyone's trying to play with it. Everyone's trying to use it in some way or another. A lot of dabbling. 85% of the business out there are just playing around, not sure what to do at this point. That's what I'm seeing. There's few businesses have gotten it right and actually, me- not just using it, but using it effectively. All right. So you know, the challenges in AI adaptation, what I'm seeing is that, like I said, is that most companies are just playing around. They don't have good direction. They don't have champions within the company to help it, and so on. So adaptation, even if you take on a nice tool, an AI tool, adaptation within the company could fail if you don't have the right thing set up. As far as what you should consider when implementing AI in your business is, talk to another company already that has already done it, um, or a company like ourselves, which we're technical advisors, which we have done it for other clients. So get somebody in there who already knows and can look at your overall business workflows. This is a business. It's not just technical. Okay, it's not just an IT thing anymore. This is a business level, from business strategy, business planning. You want to make sure that you want outcomes, and you have to be able to, get the C level involved, what they're doing, and look at all the aspects of the business to see what is the best bang for the buck, all right, as far as implementing AI. And you want to walk before you run, all right. And also you want to make sure, like we do, all we do is find champions within the company that we can work with to make sure it succeeds.
Will AI completely replace humans and their jobs in the future?
See, that's the question everybody always says, and the threat out there is that AI is going to replace all humans eventually and stuff like that. I don't see that happening at all. If anything, it's making, like, for my own company, it's making us more efficient. We're able to do more things now, and have more time, okay, and basically increase our revenue. So, that's what I see AI doing right now is I'm keeping the staff we have. I'm not replacing anybody, but we know our revenue is going to go up. There's that gap between efficiency and so on, and revenue. I can actually do more with less and actually increase the revenue. As far as, like, I see, if things are done right, as far as like anybody that would be normally getting replaced, they could be retrained to do other things and also embrace AI. Again, I don't see it as what I'm seeing, as far as, touting on the, tabloids and so on, being replaced. I don't see that happening. I see as anything, it's going to be an embellishment of revenue for a lot of companies.
Let's talk about digital transformation a little bit, if that's okay. Um, Digital transformation is important for organizations to utilize technology. But based on your observation and experience so far, how are companies are doing in terms of adopting digital transformation, different technologies to their businesses? And what is the best way to utilize technology for a business, regardless of their size?
Yeah, again, same thing holds true with like AI. It could be any program, by the way, that you're using, but it's about making sure and talking to your peers in the same, like I do all the time. I talk to my other technical advisors, other MSPs, and so on, about what they're using, what's working, what doesn't, and then try to adapt it for my business. If after getting all this advice, as far as digital transformation within our clients and so on, um, we look at the holistic business itself. All right, we have strategic business conversations with the decision makers and seeing where they want to go with their business, and then we can help implement and show them what tools that we would recommend that other similar businesses are using successfully and what's not. So it's almost like what's working, what's not. And as far as again with this, transform digital transformation and adaptation, you need to have champions within the company that are going to run with it and help, because you can't just do it from top and expect everyone at the bottom to do it. But you do need the C level to be bought in. They have to be. It's got to be baked into the DNA of the organization, so that, and then and it trickles down through these champions that help it work. But that's how I see that happening.
Um, can you tell us about the fundamentals of cybersecurity and what are the best practices of cybersecurity in
It,
businesses
so
for
you just saw
businesses to protect their
$10.5 trillion next,
businesses.
the 2025, right?
Yes,
I don't think
yes.
I think that's a low number because I see an influx of that happening right now. New techniques that, I always say the street always finds a way. You put up a wall, they find a way around it, under it, or through it. It's a matter of like it's measures and countermeasures. Again, this is my background is engineering. It's what I did many years ago. Always looking at counter threats and so on. So it's yeah, cybersecurity is paramount, and any company that doesn't want to embrace it and realize that they have to put money towards that is going to is going to suffer. They're going to be a target. Everyone's a target, however, but companies that embrace cybersecurity and baked into again to your DNA will, they'll still get attacked, but they'll be able to mitigate and also remediate immediately. So that's what I see as far as the cybersecurity, the best practices. You have the basic things too, MFA and so on like that, but also like having a cybersecurity policy in place and having your attorney review it, making sure because there are so many ways of which an insurance company can come into an organization and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't have this after the fact." You got to make sure that gets reviewed regularly. Your policies get reviewed regularly. Your employees are trained regularly. So,
Well, in your career journey, have you had any role models,
role models.
any mentors that you can share
I
with
have some
us?
employees really amazing, but my wife is my role model. She never gives up. She's had so many issues, health issues, career issues and so on, but she always manages to punch through. She has a very positive attitude and so on. She never gives up, never surrender, So she's just, she's one of my role models as far as like, getting through things. But, again,
If there is,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, well, how about some key career lessons that you can share with us? Especially if there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way that you can share with us.
Well,
We are all
the
ears.
crazy the idea, I mean, because I ran ideas past my friends and this and that, and they think that was crazy and stuff. The crazier the idea and the more people like against it is probably the more it's going to work. As long as you believe it and go for it, never give up, like I said, and go and apply it and believe in it. Okay. And what outcome you want. That's what you got to keep going. All right. And don't listen to the naysayers and just, forge forward. All right. And I do have like lessons learned regarding that in my own thing. I mean, there was a time where I was met with somebody who was she was dying of cancer, a nurse, wonderful person, years and years ago. This is before, internet just started. And she came to me and says, she wanted to make something called the Global Village, and I was working with her. And the thing is, during the process, basically what she wanted to do is buy and sell equipment online, medical equipment for people with third world countries. I thought it was a wonderful idea. Basically, what we designed was eBay before eBay even happened. And unfortunately, we were forging forward, but she passed away at that point, and I unfortunately dropped it at that point. But after that, anything that came along, I just kept going. I don't stop.
How do you stay motivated and inspired in the times of challenges?
Well, I pivoted the business several times, and that's important because you got to be able to move with the what's happening in the your you know business environment and so on. And you always have to look. It's like the book Who Moved My Cheese. It's you always have to keep looking forward and looking at the changes happening right in front of us. And you don't want to be where it's a speeding train. You have to actually look ahead and say, you know what, I think this is coming. So as far as how I keep inspired, I usually have Friday afternoons of brainstorming with the team, just talking about letting our minds go. What's next? What are we going to be doing? So it's the challenges. It's also the technology. I mean, this is amazing time for all of us right now with AI in order to take advantage of that and so on, and think about it and thinking out of the box, being disruptive. That's what inspires me. Is just my just talking to my employees, peers, and so on about their ideas, and I listen to everybody. It doesn't matter, and it's amazing where some of the best ideas come from.
Yes, that's really exciting. What are your biggest interests and passions outside of work?
Interests and passions. Oh man, I mean, you can tell by the little bit extra weight I put on here. I mean, since probably even last time, I love going out to eat with my wife. We're connoisseurs of fine food, actually any food. But I love doing that. Going out to the city, seeing shows. My wife's a musician, so anything musical, it's like I'm married into a musical. So it's wonderful. Music in anyone's life is an amazing thing, and if you are doing it, that's great. And if not, do more of it. As far as other passions and so on, is technology. I just love looking into what's coming next and seeing how I can implement it. I mean, also I'm a software programmer at heart, so I'll dabble in little things. I knocked out a Power BI thing the other day with the help of ChatGPT, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It's amazing what businesses or anyone can do, even with little training.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, if you had a chance to go back history, personally or historically, to what time period would you like to go back and why?
Going back. I'd like to go forward, actually, but yeah, I'd like to see what
Yes,
we're
I
going
like
to
this
be in like
answer.
25 years, 50 years, and 100. But going back in time, I would love to have gone back when I was still doing interning and so on. Some of my best times when I had just started my company, we had it's just really good memories. And but going back to the times where I worked 90-hour weeks at some point in time, and it didn't even think twice about it because the work was so much fun. But if I was to go back further in time, I would love to beat some of the greatest scientists. I'd love to have met Tesla, you know, and just hop through time and meet some of the greatest minds would be awesome. Just talk to them, sit down for 15 minutes just to hear their thoughts.
Absolutely, that's really exciting. What is your career advice for the next generation, especially for those who are thinking about getting into technology,
Mhm.
AI, and digital transformation
Well,
field?
now's the time to do that. As far as like getting, training and so on, I would recommend, going into a internship as soon as you can with a company, just so you can get a feel for what's out there, what the companies are looking for, because all the education you might be getting when because I get calls all the time from students and stuff that says, what certifications do I need with this. I give them the basics. Okay, this is what you need as a base. Anything else, don't bother with until you actually are either interning or employed by a company, and finding out what specifics they're looking for, and then get those certifications after the fact to help the company along. But as far as what to do, is that you got to keep an open mind. You have to be an infectious learner. I will only hire infectious learners because excuse me, there's so much going on out there right now in regard to technology. We need infectious learners, just somebody that's going to dive in, keep learning, and loving what they do. So I look for passion. I look for passion in their eyes. I look for passion in what they do. I always ask about hobbies and what they do outside of work, because that means a lot to me. As far as kind of personality it is. But the interview process and so on. It's important to have confidence in yourself, that you speak with confidence, and that you are, even if you're not sure of something, tell them. Say, well, I'm not too sure about that, and that's okay. It's okay as long as I see it right off the bat. You're an infectious learner. You'll figure it out. So that's the kind of advice I would give.
For those who like to be in touch with you and who likes to learn more about LI Tech Advisors, what is the best way to be in touch with you
Oh, go to
and
our
learn about
website,
the company?
litechadvisors.com, and you can chat with me online, or you can send me an invite. I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone. I always, especially a new business starting out, I mean, they usually too small for us, as far as that goes, but I always give them 15 minutes of advice, set them off in the right direction, because that's so important. You don't want to go off in the wrong direction. And I've done that so many times. It's very important. I do a lot of panels. I do a lot of speaking engagements, which is like what you do, which I treasure what you're doing also, because it's so important to bring this to light. But they can reach me at litechadvisors.com. So thanks again, Kevin.
Appreciate it. Well, pleasure is all mine. Thank you for this part 2 interview. And also, I'd like to thank you also for your contribution to the business community. Just like you mentioned, you join different seminars, different organizations to talk about cybersecurity, talk about technology, and to educate business community. I truly appreciate your support and your effort as well. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks again. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. I wish you a great day, and I'll see you around.
Support for the American Business Podcast comes from iStack. iStack is offering you the latest visuals for your marketing projects, advertising projects, and other projects that need communicative latest visuals. Right now, iStack is offering you 20% discount if you start shopping today. I have the QR code on the screen. When you scan the QR code, you can start your shopping experience with iStack immediately. Whether you are looking for visuals designed by professionals or you are looking for visuals designed by AI, iStack is offering you all these options starting today. Please scan the QR code and start shopping visuals on iStack website. Remember, there is 20% discount when you start shopping today. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Reddit. Do you know the biggest challenge nowadays for American small businesses? That is visibility. That's why we partner with Reddit for Business. Reddit has more than 400 million weekly visitors. Furthermore, Reddit is reliable. Reddit is the #1 source for real reviews on products, services, and brands. There is a promotion going on. When you spend $500, you'll get $500 in ad credit from Reddit. True story. I am a Reddit user. Anytime I need feedback or review for a product or service, I go to Reddit. I get the real answers, real feedback from real people, from Reddit communities. Scan this QR code and sign up for Reddit advertising for your business. Get the visibility for your company, your products, and services. Scan the QR code and sign up today. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Just Answer. Real help from real experts 24/7. Experts such as lawyers, doctors, veterinarians, computer technicians, home improvement experts, mechanics, personal tax experts, computer technicians, and many other experts are available for you 24/7 on Just Answer. You'll get your answers anytime, during the day, during the night, 24/7, and you'll get your answers from reliable sources. You can scan the QR code on the screen and you can sign up for Just Answer. The answers you need at a price that is right. Scan the QR code and sign up for Just Answer today. Thank you for your support. Support for the show comes from Yelp. You know, I've been talking to more than 100 business owners in the American Business Podcast. Do you know the biggest problem for small businesses nowadays? It is visibility. That is why you should sign up and list your business on Yelp for Business. I have the QR code on the screen, and when you scan the QR code, the form will show up on your screen and you can sign up on the registration form. It comes with free trial with no obligation. Make it easy for your customers to find you. Do you know there are more than 70 million customers visiting Yelp website looking for services from businesses just like yours? Restaurants, home services, professional services, and many other businesses are being searched on Yelp on daily basis. That's a great opportunity. If you list your business on Yelp, you'll be findable, searchable, and you'll be visible. When you are visible, when your customers are able to find you, you're in business. You can get opportunities, you can get leads, you can build a healthy and profitable pipeline. Consider Yelp for Business. Scan the QR code, sign up, and start your free trial. It comes with free trial. Very comfortable, no obligation. List your business and start getting the results and enjoy the benefits of Yelp Business. Thank you for your support. Well, that was a very informative episode in the American Business Podcast, and with Anthony Buonaspina, and he shared his insights about cybersecurity and fundamentals of cybersecurity. It all starts with the education that we need to get, how we should be careful about protecting our data, how we should keep our records, policies updated, and having a workflow in a way that we can comply those required cybersecurity compliance requirements, as well as keep educating ourselves and our teams. That's actually very important. He also talked about AI. So, well, we keep talking about, to his point, AI being replacing humans and positions. So, from his point of view, he sees AI as a tool, and he says that he's improving his productivity, and his team is also improving their productivity by utilizing AI and AI powered technologies. That's what he said too. And also, he talked about the next generation, how they should prepare themselves for their career path. Having a network, being networking with other business professionals, getting mentors, for example. Mentorship is very important. And he also suggested for next generation to stay up to date in terms of the technology. All right, so in our review process in the American Business Podcast, this is a special episode. This is 2025 year in review episode in the American Business Podcast. Well, let's talk about entrepreneurship. Now, I like us to focus on episode 87 with Madison Halliman, and we'll talk about entrepreneurship and marketing and best marketing practices. When I'm talking to different business owners as well as entrepreneurs, the marketing practices happens to be a big challenge. How to prospect, how to find leads, and what are the best marketing practices for the highest ROI. That's an ongoing challenge that most of the business is trying to get the answers of. So in this episode, we'll talk about best marketing practices as well as the entrepreneurship journey of Madison Halliman. Let's bring the episode and let's start our review together, and we'll continue our conversation. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast. This is Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you the American Business Podcast episode 87, and we are in season 3. The American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. And today's number, let's bring a more exciting number today with our guest. Today's number is 5.4 billion. There are 5.4 billion social media users in the world. Today we'll talk about social media, marketing, best practices of marketing, and other subjects that we can utilize as business people to expand and grow our businesses. Let's welcome our guest and let's get the conversation started. Hello, Madison. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for being with us in your busy schedule. How are you? How is your week going so far?
I've had a great week. We closed 4 new clients this week. We closed 3 last week. So I am very happy today.
Well, congratulations. Then that's a great week. And today is Friday. Fridays are good days in general. We all feel good. And that's the time for us to wrap up the week pretty much. So that's a great day. And you share the good news from your point of view. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, why don't we get started if that's okay? So marketing and social media and business strategy is actually your expertise, and we have a lot to learn from you. As I mentioned in the beginning of our podcast, today's number is 5.4 billion, and that is the number of social media users in the world. So billions of people are using social media, and that's very important. And we'll talk about it in more detail with you today, and we'll learn from you. As a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our audience and to our viewers, please?
Absolutely. My name is Madison Holloman. I'm the owner and founder of Mad Marketing House. We are an authentic social media marketing agency located in Augusta, Georgia, but we service clients all over the US, from New York, California, Miami, and we have a full team of creatives, and we work with very prestigious luxury brands to personal brands to smaller business. We literally do it all. And we probably spend close to 1,000 hours a week on the social media platform. So we know almost anything that you can when it comes to social media, just because of the amount of time and people that we are able to dedicate to these platforms.
Yes, social media is very exciting as a subject, and now AI is coming in, which we'll discuss in a minute, and it makes it even more colorful and important for businesses, of course. Would you please tell us about your career path, how your career path has evolved and unfolded over the years?
Yep. So I started in college. I started a screen printing business, and I sold and printed T-shirts to different schools and businesses, and I paid my way through college that way so that I could graduate debt free. While I did that, I also worked for my dad. He owns an international brand. They sell a $2 million product, which is a boat, and they service clientele that are billionaires, princes, celebrities. So I grew up in this household, this entrepreneurial household, witnessing him build this business for the past 25 years. So I worked underneath him and helped him with graphic design, and I self-taught website design. And while I was doing this and after I graduated, I started working for a plastic surgeon. I knew that my dad and I couldn't work together forever. We were way too much alike. And I took a job working for a very prestigious plastic surgeon in Augusta, Georgia, and worked for him for 2 years. And I always knew that I wanted to have an agency one day, but I really did not think I would own an agency at 24 years old. I thought, I need to wait till I'm a little bit older, till people can kind of take me serious. I'm only 29 still. I've had the agency for 5 years. And to this day, when I tell people how old I am, they're pretty shocked that I am as young as I am. But I think it comes with the maturity of being the oldest of 5 girls in this household, of where all of our conversation are surrounded by business. So I have always been obsessed with making money because it was such an easy way for you to put effort in something and get an immediate return, depending on how hard you worked on something or how smart you were able to be when you did something. So fast forward, we're 5 years in now of owning the agency, and we have a dream roster of clientele.
That's really exciting and inspirational, of course. Can you tell us your day-to-day work? What are the exciting and challenging parts of your work on a daily basis?
So my days look completely different depending on the week. I am traveling every other week at this stage. We've been in this huge scale stage of the business, and I've basically been saying yes to everything. And what sets our agency apart is we travel to our clients and shoot content of them. So I have a full internal staff of photographers, videographers, editors, social media people, and how we have been able to be as successful as we are is we provide all that support internal. So usually we have a team boots on the ground somewhere shooting content for a client, and then we'll have a team internal here in Augusta, Georgia, working in office, supporting our local clients. And we do everything from shooting content, writing captions, doing outlines, writing emails, doing web design. We literally do it all. Every day is never the same. And you can ask anybody that works for me, they know, like, you may go into work one day thinking you're going to do one thing. And then at the end of the day, you're like, wow, we were just thrown all kinds of curveballs because we're in social media. This world is constantly changing and evolving. So you have to be quick on your feet.
Absolutely. And you work with different businesses, and that's a great opportunity to learn from them and learn about their goals, business goals, and their challenges at the same time. I'm sure that's also a great learning experience and opportunity in that
Yeah, I
sense.
mean, it's fun to be able to come in and like provide a solution. Provide a solution for somebody that has a pain point and be able to say, okay, if we can apply this strategy and tweak it each quarter, we're going to get you where you need to be business wise. Or maybe it's just awareness. Like maybe somebody's coming to us and saying, my competitor is doing X and it's driving me nuts and I want to be better than them.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And from marketing point of view, when we think about ROI, eventually marketing is an investment that we position in certain ways to get certain outcome to increase sales as well as brand recognition. So from this point of view, what are the best marketing practices nowadays in terms of getting the ROI?
We pride ourselves on being authentic and vulnerable on social media. So, being able to shoot content of people in their space with their team, their clients, their examples of their work, and just showing up like you would any day, and being able to do a mix of really polished, aesthetically pleasing content versus doing some UGC, which is user generated style content, whether you're shooting something yourself and clipping it together and putting text over B-roll or text over interview style type content. And we found that when you can show up on social media and be your true self and it not just be a highlight reel, people resonate with that and you build trust through that. And when you have trust, it fuels your sales. So we found there's a direct correlation between, and it's psychological as well. Like when you see something that resonates with you, you want to share that with somebody, or you want to send them a message and be like, oh my gosh, like your message really spoke to me. And then that person's on your radar. So you've already kind of broken down the barrier of building that trust with somebody through like digitally.
Absolutely, yes. And that's a popular subject, of course, nowadays. And I like to get your take. How do you see the impact of AI on business nowadays?
I think AI can be really amazing, and I think it can also be very dangerous. So obviously on social media, we're constantly seeing videos and photos of things that are AI, and it's becoming a little bit more difficult to be able to determine the difference between AI and real life. As somebody that works in the field, I can immediately look at something and know that if it's real or not. I have more clients now that are coming to me and saying, hey, like I want to use more AI content. And personally, I rather just make that content for them instead of having to deal with AI. But I think as long as we can, generate ideas, and our team uses it a lot for writing captions or outlines or kind of getting our creative juices flowing because we're working with so many people consistently every day. It's a great starting point to then take and put that human mind behind it and utilize it.
Actually, I have another podcast. I'm a co-host, and I have a colleague that we are running the podcast together. Two guys, all things tech, and we talk about AI all the time. And one of them is just like you mentioned, the impact of AI and how to regulate it. And to your point, may be very beneficial to the maximum level. At the same time, depends on how you use it. Then it may be also scary too. So that's an important point that you mentioned here. So it depends on how you utilize it.
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to running ads. Our team runs a lot of paid ads on Facebook and Instagram Meta. And we found I'm such a control freak when it comes to how my creative and my campaigns look. When you turn AI on, they immediately adjust how things look and they will change it. And especially when you're going through a process with the client where you're having everything approved down to the hashtags or the words used, when you turn that AI on, it completely adjust all of it. So you have to be careful when and how you utilize it. And I think as long as we can continue to monitor it and control it as much as we can, it will obviously be to our benefit.
Yes. Well, I like to shift our conversation towards role models and mentors. Have you had any role models, any mentors who helped shape your career path over the years?
Absolutely. I would definitely say growing up and witnessing my dad build a business, he was kind of always that figure to me. And to this day, I'll have something like a really big problem or something that I need to find a solution for. And I'll call him and ask him his advice, and he'll advise me on things. And usually he's literally been through all of it. And he can tell me, hey, like you can make your own decision, but you probably need to do this to make sure that it works out better and you don't have to go through it the hard way like I did. But I would definitely say he's been a really big mentor and was obviously a role model for me as a little girl and her dad. I mean, we all look up to our dads. And I would definitely say when it comes to like women that are successful, I think somebody that's done an amazing job is Sarah Blakely, as she's built Spanx. And, you know, as somebody that was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, that's where she's headquartered and lives. And it was really cool to watch her build this insane, I'm wearing Spanx right now, like this insane business and platform. And the way that she was able to exit her company and then also give back to all of the women that worked for her and men was just like so inspirational, I think, for every woman in business at the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way, what would it be that you can share with our audience and listeners?
Definitely process things and do not react. So, as a very young boss, there would be times where I would be triggered by things, whether it was a client or an employee, and I would immediately react and usually negatively. And I found that if I can sit back and be calm and process what's happened and process my emotions and then respond, I'm more logical, I'm more professional, and it's definitely hurt me in the past by not living by that. But to this day, I always pause and reflect, and then I react and usually have a better solution.
Absolutely. And that's also very inspiring. It is hard. It is hard. I mean, you really, they articulate very well for us to understand. I truly appreciate it. But at the same time, we all experience it in some form, right?
Yes.
And when we think about it, it's really hard to constrain yourself sometimes and then take a deep breath and just calm down and think through it, which is the best way. Absolutely. There is no doubt about it. And it also, brings my mind. So Lincoln used to write letters to his opponents, right? But he wasn't sending them. So he was just writing them and then just get it off the chest, but just keeping the letters. So that always comes to my mind as a practice, just a way to constrain yourself, calm yourself down, get it off your chest in a way, but just keep it to yourself. So
usually I call my husband and I'll be like, this is what's happened. And then he'll be like, Maddie, it's fine. You're just relax. It's not as bad as you think it is. And he's like kind of like my voice of I say that he's my silent partner because he's not technically a partner in the business, but like I have to have him to be able to function to the level that we do. So.
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, that's great to have a soulmate and complete each other, right? So that's amazing. Well, so we have one question which has actually come to us from our audience. It happens to be an interesting question, and we get different answers. If you had a chance to go back historically or personally, to what time period would you like to go back and why?
I think I would probably like to go back to right after COVID or right around when COVID happened. I remember that time and I was working for somebody during 2020 and if I would have stepped out and started the agency 12 months before I did, I feel like I really could have capitalized because, after COVID happened, the economy erupted. There was all this money being flooded into the economy. And I feel like that's why our business grew so fast because starting on the back half of 2021, when everybody was like done with COVID and there was all this funding, all these business owners were spending money. So if I could go back and start the agency even 6 months or 9 months sooner, I wish I would have because it would have just continued to catapult us into a bigger growth mode for sure.
So as a business owner, you've been through certain experiences to grow your business, to run your business, and to further it. So in times of challenges, how to stay motivated and inspired?
So usually I try to read as many books as I can. Mel Robbins' The Let Them Theory book is like an iconic book. And just when she's talking about the things that she went through in her life before she got to the stage where she's like, just let them. And I feel like when I can dig into books or podcasts, or I can just get on social and my algorithm just feeds me entrepreneurial content of like, basically don't sit there and cry, like get back up and figure it out. Cause we're all built differently. Entrepreneurs are built different. And I think if you can just quiet your mind and be able to feed it with a podcast or a book or an inspirational page, that will really kind of completely shift my mood and my thought process and kind of get me back on track mentally.
And in terms of social media, how do you use social media? And over the years, how social media help you grow your business?
So we use obviously all the major platforms, Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn, Google, YouTube. And when we started the agency in 2021, we doubled our business every year for the first 3 years. Like money was cheap. It was easy to grow and scale. It was all natural referral. Year 4 really kicked us on our back. We literally one day I received a phone call and was told that 60 to 70% of my recurring revenue was going out the door. They were taking it internal, and they were actually hiring an employee that I had passed, that I had trained. And this was a couple weeks before I was having my third baby. So in that moment, I really didn't know how I was going to turn the business around that fast. At the time, I had a really large staff. I think I had 8 to 9 people on staff at that time. And once I got back after I had the baby about 2 weeks later and really thought, okay, what am I going to do to turn this business around? I was like, and it was actually something my dad said to me. He's like, Madison, you own a social media agency. Like, just apply all the things you're doing for these other people to your business. And that's literally what we did. We just started posting consistently every day. We found out what our 3 avatars and 3 different audiences were, and we created content that spoke to them directly every day. We cold messaged them on Instagram and said, hey, your page needs help. We have a solution for you. I would get on these calls with people and I would just give them a strategy for free because I knew that if they saw my strategy and they would sign, and they basically did. And then we started running ads, we started boosting, and we just started doing all the things that I was preaching to everybody else. And it was like quickly 12 months later, I look back and we had tripled the business by just applying the social media strategies that we're doing for everybody else.
That's really exciting, also very inspiring. Do you have any career advice for the next generation professionals, especially those who are thinking about coming into your industry, marketing, social media management?
Get all the experience that you can get. Like, go get as many internships as you can. I think I had 3 or 4 internships. Most of them are free. We have an amazing internship program, but I do pay my interns because they work pretty hard. Get the experience. Go work for a startup. Because if you can go get plugged in at a startup and you're with them while they're scaling and growing, you're going to be at the top with them as they become successful. And if they fail, so what? You have all that experience of a startup, because what happens in a startup is you're literally just doing anything and everything you can to grow and scale the business. So there's all kinds of opportunity to just plug yourself in and learn. And the more you know, and the more that you're able to apply and do for somebody else or somebody else's business or even your own, the more success and the faster you are going to be more successful.
For those who like to be in touch with you, what are and also, of course, to learn more about your company and organization, what are the best ways to be in touch with you and your organization?
Follow us on Instagram, Mad Marketing House.
Well, thank you so much, Madison, for being with us in your busy schedule. It was actually a very inspirational conversation, interview, I must say. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you for sharing your professional wisdom and insight with us in this episode of the American Business Podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, and I wish you and your family a great weekend.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is bringing you foreign languages. Learn from the experts, choose your plan to get started, sign up today. New Year is coming, and if your New Year resolution is learning a foreign language, Rosetta Stone is the choice for you. Rosetta Stone is offering you a long list of foreign languages: French, Italian, German, Chinese, Greek, Turkish, Polish, Portuguese, Vietnamese, and many more languages are available for you to get started today. Scan the QR code on the screen and sign up for Rosetta Stone and enjoy the learning experience of foreign language. Thank you very much. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Invicta Watches. Invicta Watches are known for their stylish design for men, women, as well as for unisex watches. When you scan the QR code on the screen, it will take to their online store and you can start shopping right away. When you go to the Invicta store website, you'll see watches in different collections for men, for women, different colors, different designs, as well as different sizes. There are hundreds of watches that you can see and you can pick from. Because it's end of the year, you'll also enjoy the benefits of their end of the year promotions and discounts. True story, I'm an Invicta fan. I've been using Invicta for many years. I have more than 10 Invicta watches in my wardrobe. This is one of them that I like. The style is pretty cool. I use these pretty much weekly basis. I have another one that I use on my wrist. This one is pretty cool. This one is called Shutter. I can change the face just by turning the buttons, and I can have different style of watches pretty much every day. Because it's pretty business looking, I can actually wear this with my business outfit as well. Please scan the QR code and start shopping today. I'm sure you'll like Invicta watches. They have great styles and different colors, as well as different technologies such as quartz, mechanical, automatic, and other watches are also available for your liking and for your choice. Please scan the QR code and start shopping today. Thank you very much for your support. That was a very informative episode with Madison Holliman, and she shared her journey, how she started her entrepreneurship career, how she started her agency, and the challenges that she had in the beginning, and how she addressed those challenges one by one. And one of the points she made was about actually AI and how to utilize AI for marketing purposes. That was also very helpful in terms of how we can also learn from her. Also, another point that she made was about team management, how to keep the team motivated and leading the team by example, by being there with the team working hard right next to them, and also showing leadership whenever team needs it. So that was also very educational to keep it in mind for our own professional growth and experience in that sense. I also asked her about her career advice for the next generation business professionals. So she focused on internship. We talk about internship pretty often in the American Business Podcast. It is because before you graduate from college or right after you graduate, before you get hired, internships are great in terms of meeting with other professionals, companies, also seeing how things are actually running. You can see it in firsthand and you can have experience. She also pointed out have an internship program, a part of an internship program at a startup. So if the startup grows, then you grow with the startup, which is great. If things work the other way around, then still you get the experience as a young professional, and you can use that experience in your career journey. So either way, the internships are great as an experience. Also, you also meet with other business professionals. You are also expanding your professional ecosystem. So that was also a great insight that she shared with us in that particular episode of the American Business Podcast. That was episode 87. Well, great. So I hope you liked today's review session, 2025 year in review. That was part 3. That was very educational. We had a chance to review 1, 2, 3, 4 different episodes. And there is a lot to learn. We have many, many episodes. We actually reviewed 81, 79, episode 93, and 87. And this is our 200th episode. So we come a long way in 2025. Thank you for your help and support. We'll continue bringing you more content, educational content, as always, informative content. There is a lot of things to learn from different professionals, from each other as business professionals, as well as learning from other business professionals who's been there, done that. And we are also learning from them in the American Business Podcast. And this learning process is ongoing. You keep learning, things are changing, you learn again, and you need to stay up to date. And that's a great opportunity. And that is the foundational mission of the American Business Podcast. Great. Thank you very much for being with me in this review session, 2025 year in review episode, special episode, 200th episode. And we'll continue this conversation in coming days as well. Thank you very much and have a great day.